The straddle handstand. So once you have a straight handstand, the next one to go for is the straddle handstand. And even when you're learning the straight handstand, it's a good way of mixing it up and learning to control the position, control the balance when the legs are apart, but still acting as one segment. There's different ways of training it. Obviously, if you're already freestanding, it's going to be a little bit different to if you're still working on and off the wall. So today I'm just going to go through different ways you can train the straddle handstand and the different variations of straddle handstand as well, because there's not just the one position. If you're new to exploring the straddle handstand, you probably just want to just play with open and closing the legs in some way and not worry too much about which variation you're doing. But then when you get a little bit deeper into it, we want to start going intentionally moving the legs a certain distance apart, and it'll have a certain effect on the hips. So if we first just look at the half straddle, or really just a tiny straddle, so it's literally just opening the legs maybe shoulder width apart with the feet. So it's a very tiny straddle position, which doesn't affect the hips in any way. So we're just going to open to that position, hold, and then go back again. So that's the half straddle position. Then we have what we call the small straddle. So that's as far as you can go, opening the legs until the hip is affected. Now this is going to be different for every individual in terms of when the hips start to close. So normally it's the tighter you are, the earlier the hips will close, and the more flexible you are, the wider you can go. But it's a little bit different depending on, some people's flexibility is good in certain places, and just the hip will be different. I'm sure it's different for a female compared to a male because of the hip tilt. So that will all affect it. What I mean by the hip changing is if you just stand like you're going to do middle splits and then you walk your feet out as far as you can without bending forwards. That's your small straddle position. So see there, I've opened to the my small straddle on that day. So I didn't do any particular stretching here. This is just what I had cold. So I've gone as far as I can without the hip closing. And then we have the big straddle. So that's going as deep as you can and allowing the hip to close. Now, there's obviously a point where if you keep closing the hip, you actually start to go into like an eccentric press. So you're actually going to turn the hip over into a big posterior tilt. We don't want to go that far down in terms of the big straddle. So it's just as wide as you can, and most people will find a comfortable position where they can sit, where the hips have now closed, and then normally you'll see the butt go backwards and the feet will come forward slightly. It's easier to see in the side profile position. So we have the half straddle, the small straddle, and the big straddle. Now, training those, obviously we can do it freestanding, so we could just work on holds on those positions. If you are going to work on holds on those positions, try and do it so once you do a hold, you return back to your straight position before coming back down again, just to show control. If you're going to do it up against the wall, we have two variations. We could go back to the wall and we could go chest to the wall. Now, obviously, if you're starting out, back to the wall is going to feel a lot more comfortable. Now, with back to the wall, we need to be careful that our shoulders don't go towards the wall. And ideally, your hands will be very close to the wall. And if you're going to do a hold, you can even bounce the butt on and off the wall, because as you go into your big straddle, your butt will be able to touch the wall on and off. In terms of training it, probably a good way to start with is just to work your heel pulls. So pulling off the wall using your fingertips, and then opening the feet a little bit, closing the feet and going back again. So there we are going into the half straddle. So you use your fingertips, pull off, open to half straddle, close your legs, go back again. Then we can do the same with the small straddle, heel pull, go as deep as you can without the hip crease changing, go back to the wall again. And obviously this is going to be down to how much control you have, how much freestanding, but that's where if we work nice and close to the wall, we can work with the heels if we're doing the smaller straddle, and if we're going into the big straddle, we can bounce off the butt. So if we have it, we can go down to that big straddle position and I can bounce on and off the wall with the butt, and I can use the fingertips to a point as well. You'll find it's much harder to use the fingertips when the butt is over towards the wall, just because you have that weight now over the fingertips. We can reverse that, so we can do exactly the same thing now in a chest to wall handstand. Pretty comfortable is to just go into the half straddle or the small straddle, because you'll still have quite a bit of weight against the wall, so it'll feel quite safe, and you can even walk your hands out a little bit further if you're not so confident in that position. Then we can go into the big straddle. Now when we go into the big straddle, ideally the hands, shoulders and hips will all be on top of each other. The hips will go away from the wall, the toes will go towards the wall, and that will put you into that perfect straddle position. This is a good one even if you are freestanding, just to give you that correct position and allow you to spend time there and have someone look from the side or video from the side and see that hand, shoulder, hip position, and then make sure that the hip and the toes are in the right position. So the hip's gone over slightly and the toes are towards the wall. Once you've got holds in those positions, another way of working it is just to go straddle scissors. So we're just open and closing in and out of the straddle and back to the straight, and it can be any of those and any in-between positions. So I'm going to the half straddle, go back again. I could go to small straddle, go back again, and go to big straddle, go back again. So we can either just do repetitions of that, or if you're a little bit more advanced, you can purposely go half straddle, back to straight, small straddle, back to straight, big straddle, back to straight, and vary it in terms of like open and closing. And that's really going to get you used to the hip and the feet move in position while you hold balance. So that's just a real quick summary of the straddle handstand. I definitely recommend that you work your straddle if you want to take the strength skills further, if you want to go to one arms, if you want to do handstand push-ups, if you want to do 90-degree handstand push-ups, if you want to do planches, if you want to do any of those variations. Being able to open and close the hip and open and close the legs is a really important skill to get comfortable with. Obviously flexibility is a big part of it, so I'd recommend that you hit the straddle flexibility. So I've done a video on the straddle pancake and the middle splits. They'll both help you obviously with that straddle position. Same deal, put any comments below if you've got any questions, and if you'd like any videos specifically made, let me know. Thumbs up would be appreciated, and a subscription.